Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Jennifer Arthurton. Mrs. Jennifer, how are you doing, ma?
I am great, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Jennifer. Firstly, you are a podcast host. You also host a podcast show, and you're also a speaker. Can you please, just Jennifer, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mrs. Jennifer?
Yeah. I am the founder and creator of a brand called Old Chicks No Shit, which is about supporting and inspiring midlife women to chase their dreams and to create their best next chapter. So I do that through the podcast, through workshops. I also run a mastermind, and I'm also a coach and mentor.
That's very, very nice. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jennifer, on the insight. And I would also like to dive to the book. As a woman who is, inspiring other women who are in their midlife today, I would like to ask if probably there's any book you've written, and if if you are planning to write any book in the coming future, Mrs. Jennifer.
Yes, funny you should mention that. I have not yet written a book, but there is a book in the works. It's so many of us just really need the inspiration to remind ourselves that we are more powerful than we ever could believe we are. And the focus of the book is going to be about reminding women of the power, how powerful they are, especially at this time of their lives.
Yes, I completely agree. Women are really, really powerful, honestly speaking. And when it comes to midlife, I do not know, but many women, they probably see it as probably a crisis. They are getting to a point now. We are growing old. We are now, leaving the world for the next generation that are coming. So, why do you feel like why do you think people see midlife as a crisis on them rather than an opportunity, Mrs. Jennifer?
Mm. Honestly, I think most of the reason that we see, so first of all, aging in general, we live in a culture that values youth above all things. So, as we age, there tends to be this cultural narrative that we are less valuable, less relevant. And it's especially so as women, right? Like there's an extra level of scrutiny, I guess, or an extra level of messaging around, a woman and aging. And so, with the cultural narrative that is literally all around us, we see it, thousands of times every day through advertising and media and all of the things that we're consuming. They tell us that, once you reach 40 or 50, it's the beginning of the end, like it's the downhill slope into old age oblivion, and that, we should just probably wrap it up and not do anything, right? Coast to the finish line. But the reality is that most of us have so many gifts inside of us. We
Mm.
have the benefit of all of this knowledge and wisdom and experience that we get to take and do whatever it is that we want with, right? Like, so we create businesses, we are, figuring out ways to help the world, like all of these things. And age has zero bearing on our ability to do all of those things. And the only reason we believe that is because we live in a culture that tells us that over and over and over again.
Honestly speaking, I completely agree with you, Mrs. Jennifer, because women at their midlife have this experience. Probably a lot of people, do not have, most especially even with the young ones, do not have. So this experience definitely helps. Probably it could be spread, probably like a podcast show as you're doing, and other ways. I think that is really, really powerful, which women in their midlife have. I think that is a very, very powerful one. And I would like to know, there could be shifts that is very necessary for women that in their midlife. A lot of things have to change now. They have to think more broadly. They are more experienced when it comes to, a lot of things. They are more experienced. What do you think are the key physiological shifts? What do you think are the shifts that are probably needed, to help people thrive at their midlife, Mrs.
Mm.
Jennifer?
Yeah. I think the number one thing, and I say this to all of my clients, and I say this all the time, is as women, we live in a world where we seek validation outside of ourselves, right? So our value is placed on, our raising our families and what we do for other people. Am I a good wife? Am I a good mother? Am I a good daughter? And all of our validation comes from outside of ourselves. When we reach, and because of that, often we are last on our own list, right? Like we lose connection with who we are. When we reach the stage of our life, it's about turning our vision from what's happening outside of us to what's happening inside of us, right? Because
Wow.
inside of us we feel called to our gifts, we can see our power, we know the value of the experience that we have. But as long as we're looking outside of us for the world to validate us, it won't happen. That has to come from inside. So this stage of our lives is really a journey inwards, because it's about becoming our most authentic selves, really. So, like, who are we? What do we want? What's important to me? What do I value? Right? Like, that becomes the leader of how we show up in the world, as opposed to the external validation from outside of us.
Completely agree. Thank you so much for the insights, Mrs. Jennifer. I think that is a really, really great point. Honestly speaking, I have to be honest. And as someone that is also going through his or her midlife, the energy is there, the experience is there, as you said, and this
Mm-hmm.
energy, there will be a point the person have to try probably his or her best to maintain it, maintain this energy, maintain this vitality, this strength that they have. What do you think are the
Mm-hmm.
best strategy to maintain those energy and also the vitality and the resilience in midlife, Mrs. Jennifer?
Yeah, 100%. The way that we maintain the energy and the vitality is to tap into what makes us passionate, right? Like, what are we curious about? What do we love to do? To never stop learning. I've interviewed women on the podcast who are in their 80s, who are starting new businesses, who are like, you would look at them and you would never know that this is a woman in her 80s, because her energy is so big, right? And the one thing in common that I hear from all of these women is, every day I show up and I ask myself, what can I learn? Right? What can I learn about my business? What can I learn about myself? So being in that state of, growth and, following your passion, following your curiosity, that's what keeps you young and energized. As soon as we start to doubt ourselves, as soon as we start to think, I'm too old, right? That's when our
Mm.
energy shrinks, right? So it comes again, it's our energy comes from inside of us. So how are we showing up in the world? Like, are we open? Are we curious? Are we making new friends? Are we learning new things? Or are we saying, oh, well, I'm old, I should probably rest? Or, right? It's two very different trains of thought that directly impact our energy.
Hmm. So it firstly comes from within. That within has to be really, really built so that they can definitely have that energy, live life
Yeah.
normally, and also have this energy to do many things, create a business, interact with people, and also
Yeah.
use this experience and to inspire other people who are out there. That is
Yeah.
really, really powerful, honestly speaking.
Yeah.
And I also like to go to the point of forgiveness, Mrs. Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
um I would like to go to the point of forgiveness because people that are in their midlife, they could have a situation whereby they could be facing some past situations like that that could be affecting them during that time, and also self-compassion. I would like to ask what role you think self-compassion and forgiveness really play in personal growth during midlife, Mrs. Jennifer.
Oh. It is probably the most important thing, because
Okay.
I don't believe, we have all of these experiences in life. I don't believe that there are any failures, right? Like, and generally, where we lose compassion for ourselves is where we think we failed or where we've made a mistake. I don't believe that there are failures and mistakes. I believe there are just lessons, right? So if we did something and it didn't work out the way that we wanted to, or we weren't happy with the outcome, it doesn't it doesn't mean anything about us. It literally just means, oh, that didn't work that way, right? And I'm going to take this lesson forward. So when we can find compassion for ourselves, as in doing the best that we know how to do at that particular time, I've learned the lesson. Now I know better. I can do better. And approaching ourselves like that, like we are human beings in a process of growth, right? We didn't fail. We didn't make a mistake. We just
Mhm.
learned something. And having that kind of compassion allows us to keep learning and growing. Because if you learn something and you beat yourself up for it, chances are you're not going to want to continue to do that. Right. And so the more that we can, again, like find that compassion, it keeps us open to learning and growing and not being afraid to make mistakes because we're humans. We are going to make mistakes. How we view those mistakes is what will keep us moving forward or stop us. Right. So if we're beating ourselves up and, for not doing something versus, whew, that did not work out like I thought. I'm going to try it this way next time. We're stepping forward. And so self compassion along that way is so, so critically important. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that.
Thank you so much for also the insight, Mrs. Jennifer. It is very, very important to help that person to groom very, very fast. It's very, very, very important.
Yeah.
And I also like to dive to the point of daily practice, Mrs. Jennifer.
Mhm.
I know a lot of women are, a lot of people are different, but, there will definitely be daily practice that will definitely help, to also, groom them. Like, what do you think are some of the daily practice that can help, people, and most especially women that are in their midlife fully embrace the power of midlife? Like, what do you think they can
Mm.
be doing? That I've heard you said business, inner self, but what do you think that daily things that they can be doing that is definitely work to also make them to have this power during their midlife, Mrs. Jennifer?
Yeah. I think the number one thing, and I say this to all of my clients and to the women in the mastermind group, is to make time to connect with ourselves every single solitary day. So, whether that be meditation, whether that be journaling, whether that be a walk in nature, whatever it is to spend time. And, it could be 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, like whatever it is to spend time without distraction. So, no phone, no book, no, nothing, so that we can actually hear ourselves. Because, for so long, especially as women, our voices are drowned out by all the things that we need to do. And that we forget to be able to listen because everything we need is already inside of us, and our job is simply to tune in and listen to that. You will never be steered wrong. So, you can ask yourself questions like, how am I feeling today? What is most important to me today? How would I like today to go? Right? Like, what do I need most right now? But having that time to just connect inward so that you can hear yourself is the most important thing that we can do.
Hmm. So it's even everything just starts from the one cell. If the one cell can be groomed enough and be strong enough, it's
100%.
everything flows. Everything just continues to
Everything
go
flows from there.
by and by and by, and everything just continue to, the power comes. It comes from within. It comes from the inside. Honestly
Yes,
speaking,
exactly.
that is really, really powerful, Mrs. Jennifer. This is a very, very inspiring and touching discussion. But I would like there's a question I normally ask during the end of the show, Mrs. Jennifer. From
Mm-hmm.
our forefathers, from our fathers who have passed on during the historic time, there are a lot of things that do exist during our forefathers' time. Beautiful things that have existed during that time. A lot of things are missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Mrs. Jennifer, what do you think that thing would be?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the thing that I would say is about just being curious, right? Like the world that we have today was created because people before us, our grandfathers, our great grandfathers, like all of those people who left the legacy, they got curious about things, right? Like, and then they, had the courage to just like, dig into it. Like, if people stifled that sense of curiosity and didn't want to explore things, we wouldn't be where we are now. And that curiosity is what leaves legacies. And then that legacy is what, inspires the next group of people to then take that to the next level. And so I think just, you know, being willing to honor the curiosity, being having the courage to follow that curiosity and to focus on what really really interests you, right? Like, I think those are the things. And it's not necessarily a truly historic lesson. I think it's something that all of us in every generation, when we are following our passions, we inspire the next generation to follow our passions, right? And that's how we keep creating the world that we live in, moving forward. So yeah.
Yes, I
Did that
completely
answer your
agree.
question?
You really answered the question because
Okay.
when someone gets to a stage, someone will want to just bring all this experience, all these things down to the next people who will
Mm-hmm.
definitely use it. That's why, elderly people, they usually love, like, they just like to, help those ones that are coming, those ideas, those experience will definitely help them in a long way. That's why some will just usually they will usually say, I don't just want to leave this world with all these things
Right.
that I know that will definitely help a lot of people. It won't be good, honestly speaking, and that is a very very massive one that we hope just continues. We just hope it happens, honestly speaking. And I also want to use this opportunity, Mrs. Jennifer, to thank you for the opportunity and the time to speak as a midlife. Is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to rediscover. It's an opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
bring that there's a power that is within when one is in the midlife. Just figure it out and know how you can use it to inspire the world. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jennifer.
Thank you. Those were great questions.
All right, ma. Have a wonderful day, Mrs. Jennifer. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.